I've emphasized over and over again that the SN2 reaction, it's all about the nucleophile. Well, truth be told, it's not just about the electrophile. The fact is, or the nucleophile, the fact is the electrophile also plays a role. And we're going to file this under the idea of sterics. So let's look at a generic SN2 reaction. We're going to have our nucleophile. Let's make these R groups. R, and they can be different. R prime, R double prime. And our nucleophile is going to come careening in here, attack our carbon, kick out our halide, and get attached to, whoops, we want to do R groups. Our electrophilic carbon. So this is all about the electrophile. And it's all about sterics around the electrophile. So what are these R groups? So let's look at our great nucleophiles, our best nucleophiles, and then we have our good nucleophiles. And let's make a little table here, and let's look at what if we have something like just a methyl halide, say methyl bromide. Great nucleophiles will always do an SN2 on a methyl halide. You know what? The good nucleophiles will also. What if we have, I'm going to have to overlap this a little bit. It's not going to be a beautiful table, but it'll be good enough. It's supposed to be a BR. What if we have a primary halide? Our great nucleophiles will do an SN2, and our good nucleophiles will do an SN2. Once we get to a secondary halide, so now we're starting to put more R groups around our electrophilic carbon. The more electrophilic R groups we put around the electrophilic carbon, the more crowded it gets, and it gets harder for the nucleophile to find the nooks and crannies around that carbon. Now the great nucleophiles can still figure out how to do an SN2. We will not get an SN2 reaction from our merely good nucleophiles. In fact, normally we see a different reaction altogether. We'll talk about that later. Now, once we go to a tertiary halide, now we've got all kinds of junk spread around our electrophilic carbon. As it turns out, the great nucleophiles cannot do an SN2 reaction on that. There's simply not enough space for the nucleophile to find that electrophilic carbon. And of course, our good nucleophiles won't either. So, sterics can play a role. If our electrophilic carbon is crowded enough, the nucleophile will not be able to attack it. Even if it's a great nucleophile, it won't work. So sterics do play a role, but normally the first condition is, do I have a good enough nucleophile? And then you have to look at how available to attack is that electrophilic carbon.